Tuesday, the 3rd of December 2024. And welcome everyone. Welcome to Billy saying Sazza. We've got Duke in there. We've got Sarah. Strange Brew. Yeah, I could have called it Strange Brew, couldn't I? He's a strange one, isn't he? Sorry, this isn't straight. I just had to adjust my wellies. So we're in a secret location somewhere in the world today, which I can't disclose actually where I am. So maybe I'll just move this so you can't quite see out of the window and guess. But yes, we're going to be talking today. If you can see me and if you can hear me, let me know. That's always good to know. I'm in a new place, a new country, and not in the UK yet. Be back there next week, but at the moment, still got some things to do. Got some errands to run around the world. So today we're going to be talking about the left, right? We're going to be talking about the left because there's a bit that I've spoken about before on the show that Aaron Sorkin made after The West Wing. He made a show called something along the lines of the news desk or something, right? And it was about a TV news channel. And one of the things he says in this clip that went really, really viral, and it crops up now and again, you see it, is he says, the main character says, if you liberals, the left, you think you're so effing smart. Well, if you're so smart, how come you lose all the time? And it's such a great line because you're like going, yeah, good point. Why does the left lose all the time? Why are the Tories in power like 99% of the time? Why did Trump win? Why did Brexit win? Why is Elon Musk going to give Nigel Farage $100 million to basically become the next prime minister? And the left are like, oh, that's bad. And the reason is this: the right are united in a way that the left could never dream of, because it's a cliche, and we've said it before on this channel. The right look for converts, the left look for traitors. And it's a bit funny because I don't want to upset anyone who's Jewish who's watching this, and I'm going to say this: a lot of my friends are Jewish. Like seriously, like dozens of my friends are Jewish. But I feel a little bit that way about Judaism as well. Christianity looks for converts. You have people going around the world trying to convert people to Christianity, missionaries and such like. There are no Jewish missionaries. Like, no, they look for traitors. They look for people who aren't doing right. They got like the people who are eating bacon buzzies, or the people who aren't keeping, Saturday night, Friday night. They're going out and going to a gig or something. And also, if you are, say, your mother converted to Judaism, then yeah, to some Jews, you're not Jewish, because they're looking for someone and to go, oh, well, you're not actually, as Jewish as you think you are. And we have the same thing on the left. And the thing is with Judaism, it's a religion, fine, whatever, the greater scheme of things, But with the left, we are fighting the fight of our lives right now. And what we need to be is united. We need to be united against the common enemy. What's the common enemy? The freaking oil and gas companies. It's as simple as that. They're the people who are restraining us from going into renewables, putting in infrastructure to allow us to charge our cars from our homes or outside our homes. This isn't like difficult technology to put in. Electricity's been around for a very, very long time. Well, lightning's been around since forever, but harnessing electricity and using it, bending it to our will and getting it to power things like trains and automobiles has been around for literally over 100 years, like hundreds of years, not hundreds, but well over 100 years we've had the tech to do this. And every house has electricity going to it. So it's not that much of a stretch to people to be able to refuel their vehicle from home, from where they live, whether they park in a parking lot or in their driveway or on the side of the road. There should be mechanisms in place, there should be infrastructure in place to allow people to do that. Why isn't there? Why hasn't that been put in place? Because the oil and the gas companies make so much ridiculous amount of money, so much ridiculous amount of profit for what is an absolutely ridiculous commodity that we do not need. It's something we don't need because we've moved on. And you can go, oh yes, but the specialist cases, Graham, where we do actually need fossil fuels to allow us to do this and this and this. Yes, you are right. But for your everyday person, for 99% of the population who don't own a factory or something that smelts iron or something, you don't need it. You do not need fossil fuels in your life. You can cook things using electricity. You can run a car using electricity, like the power you can get from electricity. How do we harness the waves, the wind, the sun to make that energy? We've got the tech. We've got it here. I mean, especially with solar and wind turbines. They're so cheap now. It's the cheapest way to produce electricity, which makes sense because you generate the electricity at the wind turbine and it comes to your car at the speed of light, effectively. I know it's a bit more complicated than that, but the speed of light. 40% of all these big ships going around the world burning bunker fuel, which is the dirtiest oil you can get, bunker oil. They 40% are just moving fossil fuels around the world. Fossil fuels that do not need to be moved around the world. You can generate electricity not by other ways than burning coal. But why is this new Labour government going, we need to look into carbon capture technology, which we all know is bullshit? Well, because the fossil fuel companies are pushing for it, and they lobby and they lobby and they lobby, and they are all united. If you are a right winger, you're happy to sit in a room with people who you fundamentally disagree with about loads of stuff, but what matters to you is getting into power so you can at least get a bit of the stuff that you want. There's going to be loads of right wingers who aren't that interested in the bloody oil industry. They just want to ban abortion. And then you got people who are really into oil who think abortion should be legal. But they'll work together, which is what the left don't do. We splinter off into our little groups and go, I'm not listening to this person because they're not left-wing enough. Purity tests. Working class accent, says Diz. And so I think people like... Owen Jones is the classic example, isn't it, of this kind of mentality of like, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right, so I'm not going to talk to you. When dealing with people who ostensibly agree with 99% of the stuff that you agree with, or even if it's 50% of the stuff, we are backs against the wall right now. Trump has just won in America. Trump has just won. We're going to have 4 years of absolute hell. Robert F. Kennedy, right? One of the things he wants to do is to stop all scientific research into medicine, into the diseases, into stopping diseases. He wants to stop all research. I'll say that again. He wants to stop all research into diseases. Why would he want that? Maybe because he's bought by the pharmaceutical companies who know that a child who's got measles and is dying will have more money spent on them than a child who's been vaccinated against measles and therefore isn't dying of measles because they've been vaccinated against it. A vaccine which is patent free now and anyone can get it dead cheap anywhere in the world comparatively. No one's going to spend shitloads of money on a vaccine for their kids, but keeping their child alive who's got measles or polio or smallpox or some other god-awful Victorian illness that we just bring back for shit and giggles, like rickets. The diet in the UK is so bad. We're seeing a return of childhood diseases. Scurvy. Scurvy is making a comeback because kids aren't getting enough vitamin C. And then you've got, like, because obviously shit food is absolutely shoved down people's throats. And we aren't working against that. We're not working to stop climate change from destroying the planet and our habitats and habitats around the world, making the desertification of the Sahel region in Sahara, to the flooding in the Maldives or Tuvalu or Bangladesh, to the storms we've been seeing in the Caribbean, to all this stuff. The other week, there was the Philippines got hit by like 4 typhoons in a row, one after the other. It's like, massive hurricanes coming in, slamming in to the same part of the Philippines, one after another in the one season. It was absolutely insane. There's a photograph, projection, whatever, space satellite image, and it's got four, I know they're not called hurricanes in the Pacific, but four of these massive tropical storms in a row. You see them like lined up and you're like, That's got to be Photoshop, but it's not. Alec, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Leftist infighting simulator. Yeah, it'll be good. Not good, Chris says, yeah, but if the left did work together, thanks very much for that, by the way. That would mean results, and results mean less thing for certain left-wing broadcasters to talk about. Please think of the broadcasters. I'd rather have nothing to talk about. I'd rather talk about other stuff. We've talked about this on this channel as well. We've started to talk about music or movies or travel. Heaven forfend. But like the fact that there are so many little independent groups who agree with a lot of stuff with each other, but just can't work together. Whereas the right work together, and this is why when I say that I think Farage is going to become the next leader of the Tory party after they backheel Kemi Badenoch, and people are like, no, he won't. I'm like, why won't he? Oh, because for some psychological reason he won't want to do that. And I'm like, he's a narcissist. Given the opportunity to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, do you not think that Nigel Farage will not jump at that opportunity? And then for the Tories, what's in it for them? Power. They don't care. They're not ideologically wed to, Nigel Farage or Kemi Badenoch or even Margaret Thatcher. I mean, look at how many Thatcher policies that have been backheeled by the Conservative Party. They don't give a shit about Thatcher's legacy. They're happy to shit all over it. But yeah, it's infuriating that so few people on the left seem to be able to see the fact that we do need to work together and we need to stop all this infighting. One of the reasons why the anti-Brexit campaign was such a failure was because of the infighting. I mean, before the election, before the actual fraudurendum, the referendum, the leader of Labour who wouldn't share a platform, who was saying we should stay, kind of. He was like 7 out of 10 or something. And then you got the leader of the Conservatives, they wouldn't share a platform with each other. And you're like, oh, for God's sake, you're on the same side on this particular issue. Can you just overcome your freaking ego, your narcissism, and just share a platform and say we need to stay in the EU, otherwise it's going to be a knock-on effect of 4% on our GDP every year for the rest of our lives. We're talking trillions of pounds of lost money, and the price of a pint will double, which it absolutely has. And every time you go to the pub now and you ask for a pint and they say that'll be £7.50, please, you can thank Brexit for that. Because I'll tell you this now, it's not gone up that much in other countries. Not gone up that much in Panama. Anyway, afternoon, folks, says Unquiet Badger. Super Tansky's here. Hello, Super Tansky. Alistair, hi, Graham. This is for the Wally sign you put up in Ginger Island. For all shorts, much appreciated, my friends. Oh, you're very welcome, Alistair. Has Marcus done a thing about that? Yeah, we dug out the router, which is the thing that you carve people's names into stuff with, and yeah, I mean, Marcus is such a great guy. He's got an absolute heart of gold, and I am still convinced that he is a wizard. Like he can. You've not seen anything like it. Like I remember the first night we were there or something, we had a frying pan, but we didn't have like a flipper, to fit the eggs or whatever we needed. And he literally just picked up a stick off the ground, right, and just got a knife, right, a craftsman's knife, and he went like this. And it took him about 90 seconds, right, and he made a flipper. He made an egg flipper out of this piece of wood. And I was using it last week on the island. So like, it's still there. I still use it. I'm like, how do you do this? He's so genuine in his, love of I know he lives in France, but the love of the UK and wanting the best thing for people in the UK. And if those of you who don't know, Marcus Allshorts, his dog Wally passed away a couple of weeks ago, and he's absolutely gutted. I don't know if he minds me saying this, but I know that when we were on the island together for like a month, he missed his dog more than anything else in his life. So yeah, he was really, really attached to Wally. So yeah, really feel for him. As someone who once owned a dog and had the dog pass away, I know what it's like. It's not great. Anyway, so yeah. Thanks for the super chat. Raphael says, here's irony. If Supertansky is here, she blocked me for asking her to support everyone on the left. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? You want to support people on the left. I was going to come to this. But there are people on the left who are absolutely toxic. And I believe firmly that they are, I don't know, narcissist or mad or whatever, or psychopath. But also, I honestly think that there's a few of them who are paid by the right wing to pretend to be left wing and go on these, and the ones who run these kind of purity tests, the ones who scream at you because you didn't vote Labour in every election since you were born, and so what? What does that matter? Like, you know, the idea that you need to hit a certain amount of like purity is the best way to put it, is absolutely infuriating. And so if you have individuals who go out of their way to troll and knock down other people on the left, then there's a very good reason why those of us who do this kind of thing, you know, streaming and everything, just can't be dealing with them, because it's a bit weird. You can kind of like have a conversation with people who you venomously disagree with on certain things and be civil, and that's fine. But there's some people who you agree with about like most things, right? Yeah, you want the best for your country. You don't want people to be living on the streets. You want a good NHS. You want a good education system. You want safe routes for immigration, for asylum, so that people aren't putting their lives in danger coming across in small boats. And you agree on all this stuff, but they're so angry with you. They're more angry with you because it's usually some perceived slight or because of the way that you deliver your message. Like, no, you shouldn't do it like that. You should do it like this. It's so when people leave comments on my stuff going, Graham, you see, you know, you need to calm down. And I'm like, go and watch someone else's channel. Go. If you want to watch someone who's really calm and collected, go and watch someone else's channel. There's loads of other channels. Why are you asking me to change my personality? It's a bit like there was a mate of mine who was in a play and it was called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. And I thought that was a great name for a play, because a lot of people go into relationships and they're like, yeah, I love you, you're perfect, now change. No, I don't want you I don't want you to behave like this. And it's like, well, that's not my personality. It's not my personality. It's the way I come across on this isn't like an act. It's just the way I am. And I can't help that. So people complaining about it. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, what am I supposed to do? So I find like the criticism that you get off other people on the left is not just, I mean, it can be quite mortifying sometimes, but it's not just unhelpful. It's demoralizing, because it's like, but we're on the same side. You know, let's all fight together against the common enemy. What? The popular People's Front of Judea? No, the fucking Romans! And that's the way I felt about Brexit, where we were supposed to be working together, but we had all these different groups. We had the People's Vote, we had Best for Britain, we had March for Change, we had, and you know, I was involved in some of these groups, you know, Grassroots for Europe, the European Movement, and they all just seemed to hate each other. I mean, I sat in on many meetings in which nothing was spoken about defeating Farage, defeating the far right, defeating, you know, the Brexit mafia who were running the country. It was just all about some other group, some other pro-EU group that was doing it wrong. Or a campaigner who was doing it wrong. Oh, why are they campaigning like this? You should be campaigning like that. I'm like, how do you know? We've never had to fight against anything as mad as this before. How do you know what's going to work? I don't know what's going to work. Just give it a go. Give it a go. And one time, I've told you this story before as well, but I think there might be people watching this who haven't heard it. There was a march in a northern city. I won't say which one. And there was a rally. Okay? A march and a rally. So what normally happened, like if I was organising it, which I did in Manchester in 2019, you start off at Whitworth Park, and then you march down Oxford Road, and then you go to Castlefield, and then you have the rally in Castlefield. So you march to the rally, okay? There were two different groups, two different pro-European groups, competing groups, I guess, who hated each other. And one of them was organising the march, and the other one was organising the rally. Okay, so we meet up outside the Student Union on Oxford Road, and we march down Princess Street, I think, and then we ended up near Piccadilly Gardens, and then we're like, where's the rally? Stage with people coming on and talking about Brexit and how it's going to affect the country. And it's by the cathedral. I thought, what? Literally on the other side of the city centre. And I remember there was a sign up at the beginning of the march outside the Student Union building. And it was people who were not invited, people who were not allowed to come and speak, people who weren't allowed on the staging bit at the beginning. Or not allowed to be in any of the official photographs because they disagreed with. Don't know. I just, and so that same feeling of infuriation with the fact that we just couldn't work together for a common good, and that idea that there's a guy called Roland Rudd, who's the brother of Amber Rudd, the Tory MP, and he ran the People's Vote campaign. And it all imploded about a month before the 2019 general election. And people walked out, like the board of the People's Vote, they walked out. And People's Vote had been given literally millions of pounds, not just by wealthy donors, but by people like you and me who are desperate for us not to leave the EU. And we thought that was the best mechanism for them to do it. And I'm convinced to this day that it was a Tory plot. It was a Tory plot to maintain power forever, which is most Tory plots. And they just went, well, we'll run this, anti-Brexit campaign into the ground. Am I right? But they also did stuff like they didn't communicate with any of us grassroots people who were making, who were trying to organise anything, trying to get any money to organise anything, because you need insurance. You can't just do a march. Well, you can. But if someone gets injured in the march, or a fight breaks out or something, some Nazis turn up, you could be on the hook. If you organised it and it all turns into a bloody riot, you could be on the hook for it. So you need insurance, you need marshals. Okay, people will volunteer, but high-vis vests aren't free. You can't just go into HSS and say, listen, I'm doing a march. Can I borrow some high-vis vests for a little bit? I'll give you them back later gratis. And it doesn't work like that. And then you need a PA system and a stage that's waterproof in case it rains. There's loads of things to be thinking about to organise a march and a rally. And it costs money. But could we get money out of the big boys in London? No, we couldn't. And they would wait until the last bloody minute to tell us that we were going to do a march, right? Which I never understood, because when I organised them, they were always organised months in advance, because you have to sit down with the police and stuff. You have to organise the route that you're taking. A lot of planning goes into a march. You don't just turn up and go that way. Go that way. And so I remember, I think might have been in 2019. It was I knew that there was probably going to be a march in March, right? And I was getting a bit frustrated, because one of my other issues is, if you're not from London and there's a march in London, the later they leave it to tell you, the more expensive it is. You know this, if you buy your train ticket a month in advance, you can get it quite cheap, relatively cheap, for this country. But if you buy your ticket the day before, it's 86 quid each way. It's just ridiculous amount of money each day. It's more than I earn in a day. So it's like an entire double. It's double what I earn in a day. So I'm just how the hell is anyone supposed to afford this? So if they don't tell you there's going to be a march on, say, March the 23rd, right? You don't know, so you don't book anything, and then you end up having to get the mega bus because it's the only thing you can afford, and have to literally get the overnight bus from Newcastle down to a march, and then if you're going to be speaking, that's a good night's sleep to get before standing up in front of a crowd of people and talking to them. But yeah, they didn't tell anyone, and I remember I put on Twitter, I don't know what anyone else is doing on March 23rd, but I'm going to be at Hyde Park at 12 o'clock with some sandwiches and a funny placard, something like that, right? And I got a message on Twitter, right? Twitter messaging from the People's Vote. I don't know who it was at the People's Vote. I don't know who it was who wrote to me. They just said, "Hi Graham, we saw your tweet. Can you please take that down?" And I'm like, "Who are you?" Literally, who's talking to me now? Has some troll just set up a thing called People's Votes, at people_vote? And are they trolling me? Like, what's the problem here? Oh, because we were thinking of having a march on that date, and we don't get people getting confused. And I'm like, you've got like 500,000 followers. I've got like 20,000, if that. Do you know what I mean? Like, most of them follow me because of my travel stuff, not because of my politics stuff, my anti-Brexit stuff. I was just like, so we haven't learned, and we're seeing this time and time again. When we don't work together, we fall, and we keep doing this, and it's a definition of madness, isn't it? Of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The Megabus sounds Hughes, but never any leg room. It's very true. Pins and needles all the way. I'm not sure if I'm hard left or far left. I'm Roll and Foxy left. I take Phil's pragmatic attitude on Labour. They're slowly building on without trying to rock the boat. I agree mostly with Phil on this. I understand that governance is very different from just making a wish list of all the things that you want. Here's all the things that I want. Christmas cards, Christmas list for Santa, and like I understand what they're trying to do, but if we want to just talk about practicalities, right? They need to raise more tax, and what we on the left have said for years is tax the rich. So Labour have looked at it and gone, how can we tax the rich and keep the money in the country? How can we do that without them pissing off, right? So what have they done? They have put VAT on private schools. You don't have to go to private schools. There are free schools called state schools that 93% of children go to, and they're not left with this raging and feeling of entitlement and narcissism that seems to come from going to private school and manifests itself in various hideous ways. With people who otherwise might have been all right, but they're not. Not everyone who went to private school is a dick, but there's enough of them, and the problem is the ones who are very, very powerful because they are very well connected. It's not what you know, not who you know, it's what you know about who you know. And if you went to boarding school with them, the shit you know about them will get you far. But yeah, so there's that, but also the idea that that's going to affect state schools, because they was trying to say, but what about kids who can't afford to go to private school and their parents can't afford it, and they'll go to the state school and the state schools are full. Bullshit, the state schools are full. You can't have it both ways. You can have a whinge about the fact that we've got a fertility rate of less than 1.4 when it should be 2.1 to replenish the population. Or you can, and try and do something about it, like make it more attractive to be a parent, or make it possible to be a parent for a lot of us. You can either, sort out that end of the spectrum, or you can acknowledge the fact that there are spaces in enough for those private school pupils to go to a state school. And once you add everything together, all the tax dodge and the inheritance tax dodge and the higher rate for whatever, right? It actually costs the taxpayer more for a kid to go to private school in this country. I know you're not going to believe me on that one, but it's true. It costs more to send a kid to private school for the taxpayer than just for the parent, obviously. So you don't have to do that. So brilliant. Non-dom. End the non-dom status. Fantastic. That only affects rich people. And then this inheritance tax, 20% for farmers who are inheriting more than £3 million worth of kit. And it's just bonkers, isn't it? Like, people who complain about it, it's only going to affect a handful of wealthy landowners, who say they're farmers to avoid inheritance tax. And who's the spokesperson for this? Who's the person who's going, this is disgraceful that people are having to pay tax? Rich people. Jeremy Clarkson, privately educated man of the people, Jeremy Clarkson, who's whinging about the fact that, even though in a Times article in 2021 he said, I bought a farm to avoid the kids having to pay inheritance tax. So Labour have gone after the rich. They've done exactly what they said they were going to do, and they're going to do more. There's more policies and stuff that they're going to be releasing this week. They're going to do a bit of a sort of I think they're going to try and do a bit of a reset, a reshuffle or whatever. But they were handed a shit sandwich by the Tories, and I understand that they have to grow the economy. I get that. I'm not, not an idiot. I know that the way to get people off the streets and the way to make sure that there are enough services for people, citizens' advice, shelters for victims of domestic abuse, help with mental health services, all that kind of stuff, and schools and infrastructure and NHS in general. For there to be enough money to do all that stuff, we need a good economy. It's no good taxing people if they've got no money. If it's a percentage of what they're earning and they're earning fuck all, you're going to take fuck all in tax. And so, yeah, there are things that Labour could be doing better. Really uncomfortable with them getting into bed with BlackRock, for instance. But as Uncle Phil says, at least you get 50% of what you want. You might not get 100% of the way. It's very unlikely you'll get 100% of what you want, but at least you get 50% of it. And the Tories are happy with that. The Tories are happy with getting 0% of what they want as long as they're in power. As long as someone else is not getting what they want. They're as happy as a pig in shit. And so for so long, we've seen this on the right where you have two things I always think about where, the right is concerned. First of all, on the left, when people were voting, they could vote for Labour, Lib Dem, Greens, like Cumby, SNP, all of whom are progressive parties, and all of whom they're pretty similar on sort of their economic outlook, should we say. And they don't differ that much. And then on the other side, you got the Tories. So you got 5 parties on this side, right? And then you got 1 party on this side. And it's just like, so I'm going to move this around a bit because it's a bit bright there. The sun has come out. And the fact that, like, on the left as well, on the right as well, not only is there just one party, generally speaking, but when another party comes along, like Refuck or the Brexit Party, what the big party does is basically takes over those people. It says, I'm going to try and grab all these people. That didn't work out for the Tories in this election because they were, stifled by the fact that they just had 14 years of terrible governance and terrible decisions to taken. But the thing is, we do this time and time again where we go, oh my God, the state of the Tories. So I remember after the Brexit vote, I thought, that's it, they're out. Because David Cameron was, we're going to stay in Europe. And he lost, and then he resigned. I'm like, that's it. Okay, so what, do we have a general election now? What happens? But no, we didn't. The Tories, like the T1000, glooped back together and came. And then I thought, after Theresa May, she didn't lose against Jeremy Corbyn, but she lost her majority in 2017. I thought, bloody hell, this is it for them, she's awful. Look at her coughing, and she can't even get through a speech. And oh God, this is painful. But no, glued back together. In 2019, I thought, this is it, man. The Tories, they got 8% of the vote in the European elections. 8%. For the governing party in the United Kingdom, 92% of the people who voted in that election voted for someone else other than the governing party of the United Kingdom. But again, groups back together, Boris Johnson takes over. And I'm like, oh, well, he's not going to last long. We were talking about him being the shortest serving prime minister of all time. This was in the days before Liz Truss, of course. And somehow, no. Even the fact he prorogued Parliament, he said he would be dead in a ditch if he didn't leave. It'd rather be dead in the ditch than not leave the EU on October the 31st. October the 31st came and went. Like the Tories were in absolute disarray. Everyone was arguing with each other. He got rid of his own majority. He took the whip away from dozens of more sensible Tory MPs. And you're looking at it and going, oh, they've got to be dead now. They've got to be dead. But nope, they glued back together and they won the general election in 2019 with 80 seats. And then we're like, oh my God, Partygate, this is it for the... I mean, how many times? This is it for... And Boris Johnson doesn't just, lie and cheat and have parties. He gets away with it. He didn't leave as Prime Minister because of that. He left because of the Chris Pincher scandal. I know it was a build-up, slow build-up of all this kind of stuff. But no, groups back together. Yeah, it's still good. And then they had Liz Truss. She destroyed our economy. She wiped £425 billion from our pension funds. She doubled what people were having to pay for rent and mortgages. And was there a revolution? Were people, marching on Parliament, demanding that we have a general election? Was there even a petition to ask for a general election? No. Rishi Sunak. And then he bobbed along for a couple of years being a dickhead. And finally we get our election and the Tories had their arses handed to them. But there weren't many of us who thought, this is it. The Tory party are over. They're going to literally die. And then within 6 months of Keir Starmer taking office, his popularity rating has gone through the floor. It's gone through the freaking mantle of the planet. Actually, I mean, it's so low. It's quite catastrophic. And the Tories, although Kemi Badenoch isn't the most popular leader in the world, and I really doubt that she's going to lead the Tories into the next election, they're reaping the benefits of this because they're just not Labour, and also because Labour are too timid, I guess, to bring in press reform to stop newspapers from lying. It's not like we're asking Labour to bring in rules to say that the newspapers have to be nice about Labour. We just want them to stop lying. That's what we would like. And if they do tell a lie on the front cover of a newspaper, they have to pay a massive fine and they have to, retract it every day for a week in the same size letters on the same page. If it's the front page, every day for the week. We are sorry. We are sorry. We lied to you. We lied because we're liars. We're scumbag, lying, hack journalists who lie for a living and mislead people and get people angry about stuff that they don't need to be angry about. We need to learn from this. We need to learn, we need to study and analyze it, how the right are able to keep coming back. Again, in America, we thought Trump was done. Absolutely done. I thought he was toast. I thought after January the 6th, when he snuck out of the White House on January the 20th, out the back door, didn't go to the inauguration, didn't say goodbye or anything. He just slithered off like Sauron, big slug monster. Went off down to bloody Mar-a-Lago. Great. Stay there in your little gilded cage forever. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear from you. Thought that was over, that was it. And no, glues back together, becomes president of the United States. And how many times is this going to happen again and again before we wake up to the reality that if we are going to win ever against these monsters that run the world, we need to get smarter. We need to play the game. We need to suss out a way, a mechanism of getting our message across, controlling the narrative instead of just being so fucking reactive all the time. I do this, I do it as well. Something will happen in the news and I'll do a video about it. Max will as well, Phil will, and Marcus and Aid and Supertansky and everyone. We react. Here's our reaction to, VFX artists react. That's what it is. We're reactionary. But at least those guys, the VFX reacts guys, at least they actually do some special effects themselves. I like those shows where they go, oh, this is the size of what the Titans would look like in comparison with New York. I was like, oh, that's really cool, seeing a Titan walk down the street. In real life, if you could do that. I mean, that's great. We don't seem to do that. We don't create much. We react. We're not coming up with clever ways of getting everyone we're trying to come up with clever ways of getting everyone together. But and we need to learn from the right. And a big thing for them is it doesn't matter about the policies at the end of the day. I know that seems like a really sweeping thing to say, and I might upset some people by saying that, but it doesn't matter. Do you know what matters? Winning. That's what matters. That's what the right understand. That is absolutely 100% of what the right understand. They understand that there's no use in wishing for things if you are not in power. And the right are prepared to take any old shit. Brexit, absolutely awful, terrible, terrible policy, terrible for the Tories, terrible for the country, terrible for the world. Absolutely appalling policy that's just cost people money for no reason whatsoever. No benefits, no sunlit uplands. There isn't a single Brexit benefit, not one. It just doesn't exist. We're here 8 years on, still looking for the benefits of Brexit. And we can spend the rest of our lives trying to hunt for them. They're like the weapons of mass destruction from Iraq. They don't fucking exist. But the Tories, they won not one, but 2 general elections after that. After Brexit, after the Brexit vote, after the Brexit fraud referendum, they won 2 general elections. We need to learn from that. We need to learn from that, and we need to learn from our own mistakes as well, of things that we've fucked up in the past. Yes, but they were too scared of maggots to prosecute him in the first place. I know. I mean, that's what they should have done. They should have absolutely gone for him. It's hard not to be reactionary when the enemy already own everything. You all have to become more strategic in your messaging. So, MH. Yeah, we do. We need to. I had this idea for when it was Labour Social. I thought it'd be good to have people come doing their own shows on this channel, but I've actually come to realise it's better that people have their own channels and they're allowed to do their own thing, but we work together in the same ecosystem. And I've spoken to you about this idea of making a think tank, and what that think tank does is it pushes the left agenda, and it pays for content creators to create content. And it doesn't matter how many people watch the content. It's important that they make the content, make it available, make it there. Because, look, imagine, the way newspapers are, well, news sites are now, it's all about the clicks. It's all about the clicks. It's getting people to click on your thing and click on the links and click on this. Clickbait. It's not a way to tell the news. And not putting a news story in a newspaper on page 38, just leaving a blank gap. And people are like, why did you leave a blank gap on page 38 of the newspaper? Well, no one reads that bit. We did a thing, and it showed that only 2% of the people who buy the newspaper will actually read that news story. They still write the story, and the person who wrote the story still gets paid for writing that fucking story, even if 3 people read it. It doesn't matter. It's all part of the one thing, right? So this idea that we every single bit of content you make must go viral, it must make money, it must be interesting, it must have an amazing premise and an amazing thumbnail. You can't do it every day. It's exhausting. Even if you could somehow guarantee that you were going to get X many viewers every single day on your videos, that takes a lot of work and costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time, and you can't do it alone. So if we're going to work individually but together as a collective, then that's a way of ensuring that we have the security of knowing that we get paid no matter how many people watch our videos, but also the security of knowing that if we make a video that we think is important, that we want to make, that we want to put out there into the world, so that someone will read it, someone will watch it, someone will listen to it, whatever that content is. And that might change something. It might change someone's mind. And that might have a knock-on effect. We don't know. But to measure everything on the left on its success, on how many clicks it got, how many retweets it got, or whatever, it's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. And the right don't care about that shit. They also don't care about people swearing and people, being beyond reproach and all that kind of stuff. Everyone's got their own different style of doing stuff, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. But I think it's a lot more important that we work together rather than sort of just going off into our own little camps and saying, right, everyone else is a dickhead apart from me. Yeah, that's an attractive thing to think, but it's not true. Alex the 6th, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Why are none of the hard left MPs signatories to the APPG report? Is it democracy or targeting dirty money they oppose? Well, they have their pet issues that they care about more than anything else. And I kind of get that, for many years when I was an anti-Brexit campaigner, that was the most important thing. And austerity, which arguably was just as important to try and stop as, this other terrible thing the Tories were doing, it went on the back burner a bit. The environment, Jesus Christ. Do you think I wanted to spend years fighting against Brexit? No, I'd much rather have gone on protests about the way that we are treating the environment and the future that we're leaving to our kids, that we're not having because it's so expensive to have freaking kids. We're living in the end times in so many ways. And I blame, as you know, people on the left for the fact that Brexit happened. I blame people on the left for the fact that we didn't win in 2017, we didn't win in 2019. I blame people on the left for Trump winning. I blame the Democrats. I blame the Biden administration for not stepping aside much earlier and having a proper primary where people got to know the candidates. People didn't really know Kamala Harris that well because she only had bloody 3 months to do the campaigning. In a campaign, I know that seems like a long time for British politics, but in America, you need a couple of years. She should have been campaigning. Trump was campaigning to be president again from like day one that he was inaugurated in the White House in 2017. From day one, he was campaigning to be re-elected. That's what she should have done, from day one of the Biden administration. She was going to be the candidate. But they dropped the ball. They absolutely dropped the ball. What? Because they didn't want to upset one old man? They didn't want to upset one old man. Funny that. Why did the world end? Oh, because they were these old men and they were lovely and we liked them. So, we didn't want to make them sad. So we let the world end because we didn't want to be honest with them and say, you're about as popular as a swastika-shaped shit in a synagogue. Piss off. Which we should have done. Which some of us did, actually, for certain other old men who people worship. But, for Biden, I blame him massively for Trump winning. Massively. Because it was very close in the end. I think it came down to 120,000 votes in those swing states. Had they gone the other way. Maybe that the Onion with the InfoWars. Oh yeah, the Onion buying InfoWars is brilliant. Also, what's brilliant is that Liverpool have been drawn against Accrington Stanley in the FA Cup. I love that. I think people like yourself and Phil Maxeter do a good job. People like the regular familiarity and the circles of like-minded people it attracts makes us feel less alone in mind and thought. Yeah, Scott, I absolutely agree. I love the fact that we've built this ecosystem and I don't want to let it go. It helps me. It helps with my mental health. And I've had people write to me and people leaving comments saying it's helping with theirs because they know they're not alone. They know that someone else in the world feels the same way they do about stuff. And they are as upset, angry, frustrated, passionate about the way the world is and wanting to change it and make it better, make people's lives better, make our lives better. There isn't an element of selfishness in this because in the same way that any act of altruism, there's an element of selfishness to it because altruism makes you feel good. Unless you're a psychopath, doing nice things makes you feel good. It makes you feel nice. Climate change and sea level rise are my focus for a reason, says one angry pagan. Can you get the people on your evening live chats make a couple of videos a week for the channel? I've watched loads of them, but I've never recommended any of their videos on I never get recommended. We might be able to do that in the future if we get this concept for a think tank off the ground, because what we're looking at the moment is this idea that if we can get 8,000 people to subscribe for just £10 a month to our foundation, we will be able to pay at least 10 full-time content creators, and they'll get a fairly decent wage, but they know that their job is to make 5 pieces of content each week, and whether those pieces of content go viral or not, it doesn't matter. The content is out there, and we don't tell them what they have to make. They can give them advice if they call up and say, I've got no idea what to talk about today. What's in the news? Fine. But I mean, that kind of editorial oversight, I don't want it. I don't want some kind of return on investment where it's like, yes, we're going to make X amount of money this year, and then next year we're going to make even more money. I'd rather take more people on. So if we do get more than 8,000 people sign up for this, then great. We'll just get more. So we'll get more people to actually make content, because what the right do very, very well, they control the narrative, they control the means of communication, and they flood the zone with their shit. And they'll do mad stuff. Ed Davey I know he's not right wing, but Ed Davey in the election just ran such a great campaign because he got the headlines. That was it. You need to be in the news, and the right are always in the news. You go and look on the BBC website and then count all the articles where someone in the right has done something fucking horrible or stupid or said something or whatever. It's 90% of those kind of stories will be about someone on the right. Guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. And they don't care. They don't care because all publicity is good publicity as far as they're concerned. And they're right. They're right. God, I can't believe the stuff about Kamala. I'm still shocked that more people voted for Trump than we have people in the UK. I know, it's terrifying. Jason J, oh, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. End of the day, leftist groups are just as infiltrated by Russians as Farage Trump. They're playing us all against each other. That's an interesting comment there, Jason. Listen, I'm gonna have to plug my phone in. I'm just gonna walk over here. Back in a moment. There you go. I've got to plug my phone in. So, just one moment. Just one moment, Sally. Because it's going to run out of batteries. It's like, please plug me in, Mr. Hughes. Please, sir, I want more power. What do you want? Power. My laptop's telling me. Sorry, my phone's telling me. I need the power. Right, there you go. You happy now? You happy? You chart? Yes. It's happening. Hacking into the Stanley, you a day? Yeah, this channel definitely helps. I go insane with my far right family. So does Lucas. I think a lot of us have got to deal with people who are on the right in our lives, and occasionally I tend to get a bit upset, especially when it's someone who voted for Trump or someone who voted for Brexit, who's trying to be all holier than thou about it and trying to explain to me why it's a good thing. The Brexit thing, I'll never forget. I was at a family do, and I had someone say to me, in all earnestness, Graham, you might have a degree in history and politics, and you might have been to every country in the world, but what you don't realise is, and then they just repeated something that they'd read in the Daily Mail, and I was just like, what? But I think that upset me more because of the level of disrespect for what I achieved in my life. Basically, someone who knew me saying, your achievements don't mean shit because I've read this thing on Facebook. It's like, do you not think I picked something up, like traveling? I don't mean the disease. Like, do you not think there was a moment where I was like, oh, that's quite an interesting way they do things in this country. Oh, that didn't work for this country. Let's not do that. And every country that's ever tried protectionism, isolationism, from North Korea to the USA in the 1930s, the tariffs that they brought in, which exacerbated the Great Depression, which were then backheeled literally a couple of years later by Roosevelt, because he was like, what the hell? Why are we putting tariffs on everything? People just then put tariffs on our things. And it's really weird that the right, and this is where the right have no ideology, and I think that's one of the big sort of separators of the two. The right will, from one day to the next, be a free market, all about free market, right? And then you're like, okay, you're free the free market, and then they'll say, no, we should have Brexit, and we should go to World Trade Organization rules, and you're like, but that's the opposite of a free market, right? Because under World Trade Organization rules, most favored nation rules, if you give one deal to one country, you have to give that same deal to all the other countries unless you have a specific trade deal with that country. And otherwise, everything just clicks back to the World Trade Organization bog standard stuff, which is like frozen beef carcasses, 800% tariff on them. Good luck selling. Good luck selling anything with that massive tariff slapped on it that we decided to slap on ourselves. And then you got the US, with Trump saying he's going to bring in tariffs. So that's not free trade. It's the complete opposite of free trade. Then you got the ones who say, oh, we want freedom of speech. We want freedom. Freedom of speech is very, very important to us. And you say, okay, can I say this? No. Okay. So you just want to say things. You want to say things and not face the consequences for saying that. Yeah. You're not particularly interested in free speech, are you? No. Basically, I just want to be horrible and get away with it. There you go. We need the left to work smarter, not harder. We already work hard enough. That's very true. Duke, I couldn't agree more. Welcome to the Not Yet Insane Therapy Group. A low division footy team versus the Premier team. Sfax says Alan Brew is what allowed me to function since the election. Oh, thank you very much, Sfax. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. I'm glad that I did that. I'm glad that I had a few weeks away where I wasn't, just going out my mind in the UK, like getting infuriated by it all. I think it really did help that I just had a little bit of time just to not obsess over the news and Yeah, I do really dread the next few years. I think it's going to be horrible. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for a lot of us, and a lot of us who have got friends in the States, but the friends in other countries as well, because there's going to be a knock-on effect, of course, to this. Was it, America sneezes and Europe catches a cold, or whatever the expression is. I do think that we could be doing. I do think that we could be. I could be creating more targeted content on the channel at the moment about Trump and everything that's going to happen in the States. But honestly, I find it too depressing. People send me a video going, here's a video of what Trump's going to do to gay people. And I'm just like, I can't even watch it. I can't even, I know. He's going to destroy families. He's going to annul gay marriage in America. And so everyone who's married, who's gay, is going to have their marriage annulled by Trump. I guarantee it. He's going to do that. I think he's going to kill people. I think he's going to kill people with impunity because he's the president, and whatever the president does makes him happy is what goes. There's so many difficulties with it. There's so many, trying to balance your mental health with the need to talk about this stuff. Because obviously, if you're not informed, the people are leaving comments talking about X, Y, Z, and you have no idea what they're talking about, which sometimes happens. But yeah, it's a bit. It's not a good look for a politics channel. It's like Graham's ignorance hour. Let's find out what Graham doesn't know about today. But yeah, getting away from the news for a few weeks really did help, and I might continue that for a while because I like this. I like just having a chat about shit. I like just going, when's the left going to get its act together? When's it going to get all its shit together? When's it going to get its shit and put it all together? Put it in a backpack. Put it in a museum if it needs to. Just get all your shit together, people on the left, and work together. Like Labour are green. Like they want to have a green revolution. They've got Ed Miliband wanting to spend government money on infrastructure to allow everyone to have an electric car. They've brought the electric car back forward to 2030, which is a mandate that the Tories were going to bring in, but then they pushed it back to 2035. Labour brought it back to 2030 for all new cars to be electric. But we need the infrastructure in place by then. It's only 6 years away. And it's not a massive, I mean, compared with like building like something like HS2, it's not a massive job. It really isn't. There's planning involved. There's there's all that kind of stuff. But when you talk about sort of mega projects, upgrading the British national grid, yes, it's a mega project. It is. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of thought's going to have to go into it. A lot of actual, person hours of work and a lot of commodities. But I still think it'll be less of a thing to put together than Crossrail, okay, in London, which was another railway to allow you to get from Heathrow to the centre of London when there was already the Heathrow Express and the Piccadilly line. Don't know why you needed a third thing, but apparently they did, because places in the north don't have any railway line. Famously, Scansdale outside Liverpool, they used to have a train line, and then that got dug up in like 1961, and then in like 1962 they said, oh, let's make this like a new town. Let's move people from the city to Scansdale. I'm like, well, how are they going to get to work? On the bus, on the bus, because they're so reliable. It's just kind of painful. It's just kind of painful. What else have we got? We need to let that. Have we having any comments for a while? Am I still broadcasting? Let me know I'm still broadcasting. I get tremendously paranoid. I'm going to see if anyone else has written anything that I need to say. Scott, we've got to go. Yeah, it's frustrating to watch. I agree. There's no moral satisfaction, or at least there shouldn't be, from Harris's loss. No, I absolutely agree with that fact. So there's no moral satisfaction. There was no moral satisfaction for me when Corbyn lost in 2019, and there's no satisfaction at all in the fact that Trump has lost, because he's so evil. I mean, he's an evil man. He wants to do bad things to the people of America and the people around the world. He doesn't care. He would leave you for dead and not even think about it. He would not have a sleepless night. He is a man who has no shame, no courage, no the normal unspoken, tacit consent that we give to live our lives together as humans, he doesn't go for any of that. He just genuinely doesn't care. He is an out and out psychopath, the man. And yeah, he is. It's like the school report about Boris Johnson saying, you know, he thinks that the rules are for all the people. Trump's exactly the same. He's cut from the same cloth. I'm going to just do something with the chat here because I'm a bit weirded out that I've had no new chats for ages. Oh, there we go. Here's the apricot antichrist. I don't like that. Yeah, we're still broadcasting. Yeah, my message just stopped updating for some reason because YouTube hates me. Labour have too many advisors that have no real life experience, says Unquiet Badger. Yeah, but the right have, I mean, everyone on the right has no real experience. And in fact, I think Labour now are the only, at the first time in history, that no one in the cabinet is privately educated, apart from arguably Keir Starmer, whose school became private while he was there, but he didn't have to pay for it. Hornet says the left has maybe 3 to 6 months to start getting its shit together to give enough time to defeat the wave of fascism. It'll have to defeat head on, says Hornet. Yeah, absolutely. Libertarian free enterprises like the privatised rail companies, private when in profit, switching smoothly to public ownership when in debt, and then back again. Cake and eat it economics. Yeah, too big to fail. Too big to fail. You remember when America, in after the 2008 credit crunch, bailing out these institutions, bailing out Northern Rock in the UK, bailing out the 3 big automobile companies in America. Like, what the hell? That's not capitalism. Sorry, what, you want the government to bail out the manufacturers? No. Manufacture better. Sell your product better, you know? Okay. Get a proper job. You don't have the power of the orange side. The amount of suffering and death caused from Gaza to potential runaway climate change. Indeed, wealthy nepo babies have been a plague upon us. Yeah, Jez, not enough is made about this. Not enough is made. So what the right are also very good at is demonizing everyone on the left. They tar them at the same brush, and they'll use a word like woke or political correctness, which is what it was when I was younger. They'll say, oh, they're all politically correct. It's all about having a lesbian, one-legged black woman in a wheelchair, and she'll go on to be amazing because on TV and stuff, because not because of her natural talent, but because she's just got that job because of this color of her skin, which is bollocks. The only real time that people get a job because of the color of the skin is when the skin is white. And I know that because the most powerful people in the world are nearly all white. It's funny that, isn't it? Considering white people only really come from one continent. I mean, obviously we have colonized North America and Australia and New Zealand, but the indigenous people who lived in these places were not white. Asians, not white. Africans, not white. So yeah, it's a bit weird, if you're going to talk about racial affirmative action, positive discrimination, you're going to talk about white people, aren't you? Really, because they're the people who do all out of it. But so what we need to do on the left is get better at grouping all the right people together. Gammon was a great line. Gammon, just call them Gammon, and it winds them up. It proper winds them up. They were claiming that was racist. They're going, no, you've got to be because of the colour of your skin, because I'm bright red and angry all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, it's not quite the same as your race, mate, but whatever. The race of Gam-Gams. But that kind of like, the Daily Mail reader, blah, 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 to put them all in the same bucket and say, this is a problem, this is problematic, and here's why. We need more messages like that. I mean, do you think that sounds a bit like, punching down, maybe, because some of these people are not the brightest? But at the same time, that's what they do to us. We've got to fight back. We can't just go, oh, yeah, well, we've got to be the nice ones. We've got to be the nice ones. We've got to be the polite ones. No, sod that. This means war. That's all I can say. This means war. Whoa, South Korea just declared martial law, apparently. Bloody hell. That just happened. Shit. Graham, I think you need to take the new medication for people like you. It's called Trumpanol. I'll get you there. We'll help you. Okay. Imagine the immensity of the job of cleaning up and removing all the gas and oil infrastructure. Just so very widespread and toxic. The job will be massive and expensive, yet no one is talking about it. Yeah. Why has South Korea instituted martial law? I don't know. Removing North Korean forces. Oh, it's all kicking off. South Korean president declares emergency martial law, accusing opposition of anti-state activities. Bloody hell, that's not good. Bear in mind as well that the Korean War is not over. It's just a ceasefire. If only righteous slides off the tongue better than leftists, maybe we're more arguments. Yeah, toxic Trump. You need Trumpanol. Trump ain't. Oh, blimey, they've declared it too. When Trump makes a wealthy art dealer with no experience but donated $1.5 million to him to run the Navy, I'm sure the DEI thing is quite as bad as they make out. Yeah. Tangerine tosser, says Gareth. So that basically just wanted to talk about today is like the left getting its shit together. And so if you have any ideas or things that you think that might help, head over to the Discord server. If you're a patron of the channel or you are a member of the channel, you should be able to get access to it. If you can't, get in touch with me. So send me a message and let me know, and I'll sort that out for you. But I really need to start getting more active on Discord. I know I say this, but I want to be spending time every day to put stuff on Discord. I applied to the BBC Writers Open Call for Writing last night, and I shouldn't leave these things to the last minute. But as I was, we had the Trump election, and then I went to the island, and so I didn't have that time to be rewriting or editing a script. And I sent it off, and I had a look this morning just after the deadline had gone, and I fucked it up because one of the things they say is you're not allowed to put your name on it because it's got to be read anonymously, so they don't know who sent it. So don't send the title page on the PDF, and I didn't read that bit, so the title page with my name and details on it. So it's probably going to go straight in the bin without them reading it. It's a bit of a shame. Anyway, but I'm going to make a career as a writer if I can't read the instructions. A South Korea president declared law hit YouTube 5 minutes ago, just seen it. Lots of shit being suffered at the moment. We need to unite around climate change and sea level rise, indeed. Trump drinks so much tango, he turned orange. All badgers. Did I miss everything? I just have to watch and catch up. Yes, Shazak32. I'm afraid you did. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully at the same time, for another mystery brew from a mystery location somewhere in the world. And I'll explain it all next week when I get back to the UK. What's going on, Graham? Until tomorrow, I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.